I did allude to what is provided for in Article 232. Among other things in that article is the question of the special place for the youth, women, and people living with disabilities in the recruitment, even as we address the issue of other forms of diversity in our country. I think it has come to a point, Mr. Chairman, when we must now bite the bullet and implement what is in our laws. We can't have a constitution to which we just pay lip service. I think it must, unfortunately for me, Mr. Chairman, I like taking, once I take a position, I like being held to account on the basis of the position that I take, because we just have to implement the Constitution. You in Parliament are doing your very best to try and live by that Constitution. So everybody else in the public service should also be held accountable. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, that the House will help me when I bring reports about who is not living by the constitutional imperatives, so that you can hold them to account in the way that Parliament the world over does. So, Honorable Chairman, in response to that issue raised by the Honorable Mishimboko, it is just to say that I intend to live by what is in the Constitution. This question again, Mr. Chairman, it ties alongside with that raised by the member for Pokot South. Mr. Chairman, he used to have a name. He was called Pokot 1. He raised the issue of diversity again. And I think I like his proposal, Mr. Chairman, that we need to carry regular audits in this matter, because we must bring confidence, the trust of the people to government. And one of the ways to go about this is by telling it as it is. If we find that there has been skewed recruitment, let us just be open about it, so that everybody from whichever corner of the Republic should feel that they belong to the government. There should never be a case where people in one corner of the Republic feel that there's a place called Kenya, and they think it is called Nairobi. Nairobi is Kenya, because I don't think that they belong. I agree with the Honorable member for Pokot South. Again, this must cascade to the county service board, the county public service boards. I do know that when you go to a county, again, there are other dynamics. But the responsibility that has been assigned to the Ministry of Public Service is to come up with policies that advise county governments with respect to matters of public service. But of course, the implementation and enforcement is left to other agencies, other bodies like Parliament and other institutions. Say, for instance, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which is a constitutional body. Then Gender and Equality Commission, and the Commission on Administrative Justice. We also have, of course, the Public Service Commission is in the Constitution also mandated to assist county government through the County Service Board to come up with policies, public service standards that should be implemented at the county level. So that would be my response to that. Mr. Chairman, there was, through you, there was the question raised by the Honorable Wekaria, the member for Nakuru Town East, if I still remember his constituency, about disciplinary cases taking far too long to resolve. And this is a matter, fortunately, Mr. Chairman, I can speak to this one for quite at great length, because I have had occasion to deal with disciplinary cases within the Public Service Commission. It is the procedure that is used that is too long, Mr. Chairman. I do recall when I was a magistrate, I got involved in dealing with some of those cases because the process starts at the ministry level, because as you know, under clause 5 of that Article 232, the PSC is empowered to delegate any of its functions to other bodies or to some of its members, and some to any public officer or other authorities. One of the functions that they have delegated is through letters they write to people called authorized officers. It is that issue of the HR function. And I think, Mr. Chairman, my own experience is that it has not been carried out properly. And it speaks volumes. When cases, disciplinary cases, take so long, and possibly the staff who are the subject of those disciplinary proceedings are put on half salary, or they are not allowed to participate in several other service functions that they were engaged to do. So it's a matter that I think we need to streamline the procedures so that matters can be resolved. And at this point in time, when we are all talking about leveraging on technology, I think these are matters that should be resolved much faster. On the question of resignation, if I got the Honorable Vicaria properly, he said that he saw that I had resigned. That's what is in the Kenya Gazette. It is true indeed that I resigned, and there were reasons. Because as you would expect, at the national executive level, and I know the country was alive to the fact that there had been some disquiet. And the only honorable thing at that point in time to do was to take a position through a route that is provided for in law, to allow His Excellency the President opportunity to reorganize his government as he desired. So that allow a situation whereby you tie the president with the fact that certain things have not happened, or this or the other, as provided for in law. I took the option of assisting the president to make the decision to do the alignment. Honorable Chairman, there are two other areas. Well, the issue raised by the Honorable Caleb Amisi about the NYS, and he did give examples about the American Peace Corps. I think those are very positive remarks and comments. But I want to add that, yes, Honorable Caleb Amisi did mention the issue of discipline, Mr. Chairman, and it's not without foundation, because the 6 months paramilitary training obviously equips the trainees with certain patriotic norms that ordinarily will not be found in an environment that is not such as the one we find ourselves in the NYS training camps. But I did say that, Honorable Amisi, that there is the 6 months paramilitary training, and there is the 1 year national service. From this national service, the graduates are assisted almost invariably, where it is possible, to either become self-reliant or self-employed, if you wish. And those others that depend on what courses one takes, because when they go to for the national service, they take some certain job-related courses. It could be in the hospitality industry, it could be in construction, and such like trades. And those that also wish to continue with further training are encouraged to join currently the TVET programs within the Ministry of Education, where they would go and to get either diplomas or certification at the TVET level to equip them further for the job market. I want to agree with the member that indeed there have been incidences where corruption has been mentioned. I think this is a matter of concern to all of us. We've seen some of them. I don't want to go into some details, some of which I'm sure most members may have seen, as when people start moving around with appointment letters or recruitment letters, it becomes, I mean, it is something that speaks to the integrity of a process. And I think it's one of the areas that...
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Just to clarify to the nominee, because I don't think you got my question clearly. I don't need to go to the nitty-gritties of the operations of NYS. It's common knowledge, we know it. My question was that this good program that has undergone a lot of mutations, that's why there is now the paramilitary being introduced. But initially, at some stage, it used to actually be a compulsory stage for those who are even advancing to universities and institutions of higher learning. It was a compulsory stage, meaning the initial perception of this was to incorporate all youth towards a compulsory stage before you advance to the other programs. So how can we expand it so that it stops being a privilege for the few, that letters are now being floated, it becomes gold for you to get an NYS letter? How can you expand that program more or less the way it was? That's the question.
Well, that's a governance issue, Madam Deputy Speaker. It just speaks to lack of order, you know, and lack of discipline, because it shouldn't happen that way. But we do know that it has happened, and it does happen. But of course, the corruption that you mentioned about, other than this one of recruitment, this can be addressed, because we just have to be, everybody to play their part. There are those of us who will be charged, and in this case, Parliament with oversight. And I must say that recently I watched some debate at which the House properly expressed itself with regard to some of these processes that have been happening. And I think that is the route to go, so that everybody knows that even as you undertake certain or any of the processes that you are enjoined to undertake, there are others who are watching, and there are others who will hold you to account for your actions. But with regard to the other corruption that the honourable member mentioned, I want to say that when that problem came up, and I think all of us would recall, starting around 2017, that's when reforms were initiated within the NYS. And that's how, by 2018, we came up with the National Youth Service Act of that year, which, among other things, introduced a council as an oversight body. And I think as Parliament, through the various committees, you are at liberty to call, to summon the council, and because they play an oversight role. But it is the National Assembly that has got general oversight over all national state organs and state officers. So indeed, I think on this, we play together. Whenever there is an issue that is being raised in this field, I want us to be summoned by the relevant committee of the House, so that everybody be held to account. The Honourable Member for Nyeri, Chair, didn't raise the issue of the priority reforms that